Good evening. Good evening and welcome to the FMWF Chamber of Commerce and Downtown Community Partnerships 2022 Fargo City Commission Forum. My name is Cindy Graffio. I serve as the Executive Director for the Downtown Community Partnership, and I am joined today by Shannon Full, who serves as the President and CEO of the Chamber.
On behalf of both of our organizations and the members we serve, I'd like to thank all of the candidates for their willingness to join us this evening. The Chamber is proud to partner with the DCP to provide this opportunity for voters to learn about the candidates, their positions, and the possibilities they see for downtown and our city as a whole. As we get started this evening, I'd like to note that neither the Chamber nor the DCP endorses any candidates for elected office. We simply provide educational opportunities for our members and the community. Now let's jump into the outline for this evening's event.
Each candidate will be allotted 90 seconds at the beginning of the program for opening remarks. 1 minute for each question response, and 1 minute at the end of the program for closing remarks. There is a timer located on the wall behind us. Upon each response, we will proceed down the line in the order the candidates are sitting. The candidates have been provided with a brief overview of the topics being discussed this evening, but have not been provided the questions.
If those in the audience have a question for our city commission candidates, it's so weird because I have to turn this way. If those in our audience, we encourage you to submit those to us directly on the QA platform. It's just chamberquestions.com. So again, if you'd like to submit a question, go to chamberquestions.com. We ask all questions and responses be respectful and germane. Let's start off by having Ves kick off the 90-second opening remarks.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Ves Marinoff.
Did you push that? There you go.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Ves Marinoff, and I am running for City Commissioner. I moved to the FM area in 2003 from Bulgaria, and I did fall in love with this area. I fell in love with the lifestyle, with the people. I have been in public service since 2010, so that is just over 11 years. I'm in law enforcement, and I believe that public safety is the prerequisite to everything, to growing community, to vibrant community. I feel that there is a disconnect, though, between City Hall and our law enforcement department, Fargo PD. And I feel that our local cops need an advocate, somebody who would root for them, somebody who would push for empowerment, and somebody who would keep their leadership accountable. I also believe that our city should be divided into wards for more equal representation. I feel that specials are a huge burden to homeowners, and I feel that I know that there is a way to proceed without special assessments. I feel that government should be efficient and should be by the people. Thank you very much.
Wonderful. Victoria.
Thank you, the Chambers and the DCP. My name is Victoria Johnson. I am a family advocate and a founder of a nonprofit organization called Families United for Self-Empowerment. I am originally from Uganda. I have children here, and they are in a middle school in Fargo Public School. I'm running for Fargo City Commission because I believe a special assessment is creating a burden on families. My platform will focus on special assessment, term limits, relationship building based on the foundation of trust and safety and trust. My core values are integrity, honesty, and hard work. Those are core values that instilled in me by my grandmother. Thank you.
Wonderful. Al.
She got done too fast. Well, thank you for having us. I'm Al Carlson. I've been in Fargo since 1969 when I went to NDSU, got a teaching degree, taught at Agassiz Junior High, sold real estate in the summertime, and in 1980, my wife and I started a construction company in Fargo, and over the years built a very large number of houses and different projects. I raised my family here, and I also had the privilege for 26 years of serving Fargo in the state legislature. The last 10 of those years, I was privileged to be the leader of the House. Those skills, I think, are really vital to when you look at this position. I view this opportunity to share with the public as kind of a job interview. You know, who has the best skills to be one of the 5 leaders and pointing the direction for the city of Fargo. And I think that's a crucial thing that should be talked about. You also need a philosophy of government. I have long been a common sense conservative. I believe in limited government, in lower taxes. I believe firmly in the free enterprise system, that needs to be the foundation. We need to keep our taxes low. For businesses, we need reasonable but responsible regulations so that they can flourish in our community. But of all these things, one really stands out, and Bess talked to it, and that's law and order. The rule of law is extremely important. We need to follow that rule of law so our citizens in this town can send their kids to school and feel safe in our community.
Great, thank you. Will?
Yeah, thank you to the Chamber for this opportunity. Will Thompson, he, him. I grew up on the south side of Fargo, graduated from Davies in 2016, and then I went to the University of Minnesota where I graduated from, and then decided to come back home. I'd like to do nothing more than raise a family here in this community that I was so lucky to grow up in, buy a home, settle down. Unfortunately, I see certain economic and environmental barriers to achieving those tenets of the American dream. And, if I'm having trouble overcoming those obstacles with all the privileges that I've been afforded, how can we expect people that have had less opportunity than I to overcome them? So I think that the reason that I'm running for the City Commission is I think that we need a new youthful perspective, bold ideas injected into the local government. And that's exactly what I'm running on. One of those bold ideas, and the main reason I'm running, I think that we need to build a fully sustainable and renewable energy grid right here in town, flex our local sovereignty and get that done. In that same vein, then things like electric vehicles would allow for on-site storage of electricity. We could take that electricity and then sell it to West Fargo as another source of income, just like we do with water. So that's one of the many bold ideas that I'm trying to pitch here in this campaign, and I hope to give you those ideas today, and I hope to get your vote.
Great, thanks, Will. Jody?
Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me today. Jody Plessity here, and I have been a lifelong resident of North Dakota. I grew up in the Valley City area on a dairy farm and was raised there with my grandparents and family. And I've been a successful business leader in this community for the last 20 plus years. I've built multiple businesses and sold them. A huge advocate for helping people make their dreams come true. I've helped many friends become successful business owners and just want to see them fulfill their dreams. The other thing is that I feel that I was called to this position just because I really, in my heart, want to serve this community 100%. And as my role as a city commissioner, that would be obviously financially being respectful with your guys' money and funds and how it's spent in this community. And I am an accountability girl. I'm a numbers girl. I'm very fiscally responsible. And I feel like that is one of the top things in my campaign that I'm working with is that I want to get rid of special assessments. I think the way that we're allowing these incentives to just kind of take millions of your dollars and be put into places that aren't benefiting you is wrong. And I think that needs to change, and there needs to be accountability for that. And I think just being a mental and physical health advocate for the entire community is my goal, and obviously supporting our police officers and the ones that keep us safe in our community is very important to me. So thank you.
Thank you. Ahmed?
Thank you, Chambers DCP, for inviting us today to share our thoughts and what we're willing to do. And thanks for keeping us in line. I know it's a big crowd up here. My name is Ahmed Shil. I'm Senior Community Impact Manager at United Way. I focus on workforce development. I think something that I've done for the last 4 years is really getting people jobs that they need by really connecting the community together, focusing on individuals and removing barriers that the community has, really aligning services so that our families can get jobs that pay well so that they can sustain their families. One of the initiatives that I have taken through my work at nonprofit is really looking at transportation barrier in the past, where we're able to bring the right folks to the table to talk through something that did not exist for Fargo for 30 plus years, and really having that done in 9 months. And it's an accomplishment up to date. Thousands of people have gained jobs through that initiative of removing transportation barrier for the industrial park. 15,000 riderships up to date. So that really speaks a lot when you bring the right people to the table and really focusing on how do we remove barriers for workforce. On my platform, I really focus on workforce development, childcare accessibility, and housing.
Wonderful. Thanks, Ahmed. Jennifer.
Hi there. Thank you so much for hosting the event this evening and having this opportunity to share a little bit about each of us. My name is Jennifer Benson. I am a Fargo native. I'm a current school board member, serving in my second term, 8th year on the Fargo School Board. I grew up on the north side of Fargo, and I've renovated a home with my husband in the middle part of Fargo by Island Park, and then have spent the last 18 years living in the very south side. Well, maybe it's not even the very south anymore, but it was when I moved out there. And so I have served within the pharmaceutical industry for the past 20 years, all within the mental health division. I think that I bring a unique set of skills and background to the City Commission if I have earned your vote, or I will work hard to continue to earn your vote. But will take a second here to share my priority issues and goals, and really it's around collaboration. In my board work experience, I've seen many opportunities where there are initiatives and things that we could be doing in collaboration that would actually result in better sustainability for homeowners in terms of property tax. I also think public safety is certainly a key issue, workforce and planning for all of Fargo.
Great. Thank you, Jennifer. Dave.
I'm Dave Pepcorn. I'm currently a city commissioner. I'm also the deputy mayor. I've been a commissioner for 12 years. I was born and raised in Fargo. I graduated from Fargo North a long time ago, just barely. And I graduated from NDSU where I played football. I've been a small business owner. I love my job as a city commissioner. I love Fargo. My wife and my two sons, I want my sons to be able to live in a great town like this. And so, and I guess I just wanted to go off topic a little bit. So earlier today we had another forum, and some of the candidates weren't invited. And to me, I think we need to look into that, because I don't think any of us would support. We all need to have the same opportunity. And so I don't know what happened. It was Ahmad and Matur for sure. And so from my perspective, we need to do something about that. It doesn't have anything to do with the DCP or the chamber, but I just wanted to say that because I just think that was something went on there that wasn't right. So I just wanted to say that. Once again, we have a very bright future. We have lots of topics to talk about. I have a passion for Fargo. Some people don't always enjoy my passion, but it's authentic. I do my homework. I work hard every day, and I love it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dave. Anna.
Hi, thank you. My name is Anna Johnson. I'm an enrolled member of the Turtle Mountain Band of Chippewa. I've been living here in Fargo for the last 15 years. I came to go to school at NDSU and I got my Bachelor's of Fine Art. I'm a local artist in the area. Some of you might have seen my art. I did the A in the Greetings from Fargo mural. I also have 4 utility boxes on Broadway and a bench in front of Halberstadt. One more, I have a collage in West Acres as part of my residency. I also drive a dump truck for Aggregate Industries as my actual profession. And I think that representation matters, and that's why I'm running. Thank you.
Thank you, Anna. Philip.
Yeah, good evening, Say. My name's Philip Deary, Philip with 1 L. I guess I'm not going to sit up here and tell you what I guess I'm gonna do, or, I promise you this, promise you that. I think since Fargo has a open podium policy, that I'm gonna need Fargo's help as a whole to bring some of the concerns that Fargo has to the table. I know what I'm gonna address though, definitely homelessness, mental health, the Metro Transit needs a lot of work. I'm a frequent bus rider and it's always late or doesn't show up, or there's not enough bus drivers. Cass County Jail could be revamped too. A little background on myself. I was born and raised in Fargo. Grew up in the historical Hawthorne neighborhood. Went to Agassiz, Discovery, graduated from South High in '02, became a Mason. I went back to school. I discovered I didn't want to be a bricklayer. Went back to school, got a project management degree from Moorhead Tech. From there, I was a project manager, a warehouse manager. I'm currently homeless. I was recently incarcerated at Cass County Jail for the crime of criminal trespassing, I guess. Yeah, it's about in a nutshell.
Thank you, Philip. Denise?
Good afternoon, and thank you to the Chamber and the DCP for hosting this important event. My name is Denise Kolpak. I love Fargo. I moved here 20 years ago and was welcomed with open arms. I met my husband Dave here. My son met his wife here, and they've relocated back to West Fargo, so he can't vote for me, unfortunately. So I think my entire career has prepared me for this job. I grew up in a law enforcement and military family, so service to community is part of my DNA. I also think as a business executive and a communicator, I worked with a lot of people to solve complex problems. And as city commissioner, I promise you I will always be prepared, pragmatic, and make decisions that are in the best interest of all of Fargo.
Thank you, Denise. Matur?
Thank you, Chambers and DCP for hosting this event. My name is Matur Alir. I was born in South Sudan. I moved to America in 2006, resettled right outside Philadelphia. I came here with the limited English, and I was able to go to high school and went on to Penn State University, went on to Harvard with my master's in public administration and public policy, and I will be getting my second master's in educational leadership on the 13th this month from MSUM. And to that, I came to Fargo in 2014. I got a job as a social worker for our community, and I went on to work there for about 6 years and move on now as a director of equity and inclusion with Moorhead Area Public School. I also serve as lovely city here as the chair of Fargo Human Rights Commission. It used to be Fargo Human Relations Commission. So I get to sit here every month and talk about what it means to have a resilient community, inclusive, vibrant community. And that's how I got involved in there. I lived in South Fargo with my wife and our children. We own a home, and I feel like a spatial assessment is a burden. I feel like I'm paying a second mortgage. My platform include workforce, childcare, transportation. And thank you, Dave, for bringing that up. Today, we were not invited to the forum that took place today, and it's okay. I have experienced that, and it's not going to be the last time, and I will always be resilient and love our people, because it's not everyone that does that. It's just individual people, and they're not strong enough to divide our city. Thank you.
Thank you, Matur. All right, on to some questions. Workforce is the #1 issue we hear about from our business community, and it is more than just about jobs. What do you believe is the role of the city of Fargo in addressing the workforce challenges? We're going to begin with Victoria.
Can you ask the question again? I'm sorry.
Sure. What do you believe is the role of the city of Fargo in addressing our workforce challenges?
I think one of the issue is pay. If you're not going to pay people enough, people are not going to do the job. Simple as that. People want to be able to afford where they live. They want to be able to go to a job they love. And again, we got to also look at the leadership. So you can have a job. If you don't have a supportive management, you're going to quit your job. I worked in a company for over 10 years, and I loved it. They compromised with me. They understand I was a mom. I have a child with disability, that there's times where I need to leave. So we can't all just rely on the city to take care of what's going on with their work. We need to also look at, when you're hiring that company, what are they doing to support the people they hire? And so in my opinion, is that we need to also look at that. We can't just depend that city needs to do something with the workforce. It also has to be other way around. What is the companies doing to support their people who are working for them? And that's really key to work collaborative. That would be my answer.
Great. Thank you, Victoria. Al.
I brought it up before earlier today, that I looked through the City of Fargo Home Rule Charter, and it was very hard for me to find a spot in there that said the responsibility of the city was to train a workforce. And that is probably true. But there is some things the city can do. They stepped up on the Career Academy and invested city tax dollars in the Career Academy, which being from the building trades, let me tell you, there's a tremendous need for building trades people. And anything we can do to get these high school and junior high kids in that direction is absolutely fantastic. But also another thing that can be done is apprenticeships and internships from the city perspective. There should be an intern in every office, or there should be an apprentice in every office, because it's been proven that when these people take those apprenticeships and those internships, they stay. And they stay in Fargo and they raise families here and pay taxes here and help our city grow. So do we have a direct tie? I guess our direct tie was funding into the Career Academy. We can create the environment for it. That's probably the biggest thing city can do.
Wonderful. Will?
Yeah, well, I think one thing that the city can do is choose good housing projects, good workforce housing projects. You know, we see that 56% of people in this city are renters, and then 41% of people in the metro area are cost burdened by their rent. You know, the Fargo Go 30 plan shows that 20% of the average Fargonian's income goes towards rent. Obviously, for 41%, since they're cost burdened, that means they have even more going towards it. So I think choosing the right projects is a place to start, because if people can't afford to live in the community, then they can't afford to flourish in our communities. So that's one aspect. Certainly the jobs programs are another good aspect. But really, you know, as a young person trying to find his own home here in the community, the cost of living is really prohibitive.
Thank you, Will. Jody?
Yeah, I'm not so sure that this is actually a role of a city commissioner to be dealing with, employee retainment. However, I will give an opinion as a business on employee retainment, where rather than, I think the business owner needs to invest more in their staff as far as their health and well-being to make them want to work for me. So, and I've actually experienced that in the past, where I've supplied supplements for them. I've sent them to self-care appointments. I've really gone above and beyond and actually taken care of my staff and actually developed a relationship with them. And I found in turn, I'm actually getting their best self, and they want to come work for me. They want to come see my business flourish. And so I think it's really important for the business owner as well to take a look at what are you doing above and beyond for your staff. And one of the things I'd like to see, or I would personally like to do, is come in and educate them on their health and mental well-being and try to give them tips and pointers to make them just be better people in general. I think that's beneficial.
Thank you, Jody. Ahmed?
I think the role of the city to be involved more with workforce really aligns with partnerships. By investing in partnerships with the community stakeholders, such as nonprofits. The Chambers has a great program, Ignite, to really looking at that more, having more attractive services in the city really attracts more individuals coming to live in the community. So what the city's enrollment can be is really focusing in those partnerships and really helping the partnerships that identify the community barriers and working with them. Just as I said earlier in my openings, there's a huge barrier of transportation that existed, the heart of manufacturing companies where they were located, and they were not getting employees to go there because of the transportation barrier that existed in there. So I think really aligning services with partnerships is a key to actually helping individuals get more jobs and becoming more attractable city.
Great. Thank you, Ahmed. Again, just the question, just to reiterate it one more time for you. What do you believe is the role of the city of Fargo in addressing our workforce challenges? Jennifer?
Thank you, Shannon. And I think you also said it was not just about jobs. And you're spot on. And I think the role of a city commissioner then would be to understand and to bring all the stakeholders to the table to understand what are all the problems that our business owners are facing, and what does our role look like in facilitating helping solve those problems. Because really that is the role of the city commission, is to facilitate the process, right? Not to maybe offer all the training or the solution, but to really facilitate that process. And that would speak to collaboration and partnerships. And I really think that there is a large opportunity, career in tech ed, expanding that program, which Al had mentioned. We are headed that direction. There's absolutely an opportunity, and I see that as a school board member, for apprenticeships and internships. We need to attract businesses here, retain businesses here, but the same for students. We need to make sure that the jobs are available for them too when they are graduating from school.
Great. Thank you, Jennifer. Dave?
So to literally answer it, so like each of our departments, we should have paid interns, and we do. Planning department, every one of our engineering, all of them, all the way down the line, should have paid interns. But so you asked this question about the city government, but to me, this is not just the city government. Every business in town should have a paid internship program. Every child from junior high on up, you should find out what their interest is and ask them if they want to be an intern and whatever. That's the best retention. The people that live here, somebody from Hawaii, it's a little tougher sell the last couple of months to come to Fargo. If you live in Fargo, it's a lot easier to keep them. And so this paid internship, we should be having that across the city. Every business, every entity should be having that. And Ahmad talked a little bit about, we did a collaboration. You talked about the transportation to the industrial park. We were having a challenge with people that needed jobs to get out there. And so that was a good collaboration. You worked at that time and the city participated. Oh, I'm sorry. But anyway, it was a tip program, but now people can get to their jobs and then eventually they can maybe afford a car or whatever, but it was a good thing. So thank you for your good work. I'm sorry for going over my time.
Thanks, Dave. Anna?
Thanks. We all know that there's a workforce issue, right? What that really means is that we're not paying people a livable wage. We're not valuing those employees in those jobs. Because if we were, we wouldn't be having those issues. We know we're growing. The people are here. We see them every day. We know that it's not a person in the job situation. So we need to partner with other businesses. We need to bring people together to find the solution for our issues. And it is not necessarily a commissioner issue. It's a city of Fargo issue, right?
Great. Thanks, Anna. Philip?
I'd say opportunity. The city at least could help with the opportunity or the chance for someone, me, us, them, whoever, to get to work on time, not rely on the bus, maybe, incentive for Doyle's Cab Company. He locked down a job, maybe get a free cab ride at least there. Something along those lines. I think the city needs to step in and help with definitely to retain these jobs. Yeah, there's plenty of jobs. You hire me, now I take the bus, now I'm late, or something comes up because I'm homeless, or vice versa. Maybe the city could step in or the company, to relieve the burden. Give a guy a chance, an opportunity. I guess that's all we're asking for.
Thank you, Philip. Denise?
Thank you. Working collaboratively, I know firsthand that we can get results, and I saw this when I was on the United Way Board of Directors and also served on the EDC Board of Directors, and was actually part of the EDC when we decided to join with the Chamber and create Fueling the Future. And as a City Commissioner, I would continue to support and collaborate with that initiative, including supporting continued financial support for the initiative, which is really looking at the workforce issue as a whole and looking at it very strategically, including soon we will have a master workforce strategy that's coming from the research that's been done through Fueling Our Future. In addition, the programs like Ignite that is matching students with businesses for talent, also the Campus FM program, which is keeping our college graduates here. And lastly, the Emerging Digital Academy is a really great specific example of how we can increase salaries and repurpose, and have new opportunities for residents.
Thank you, Denise. Matur?
Thank you very much. I think our city need to come up, what's the problem? What are the issues that causing workforce shortages? Through my prior work as a social worker, the people that working with the needy people of our cities, it is not that they don't want to get to work. The challenges are if we can solve like a childcare barrier, if we can solve the transportation barrier. And I was able to do that through my volunteer work, partnering with the United Way and LSS when they were still open. And everyone that come to our community get a job within a month. And we were successful on that. Even the the secondary immigrant, even the people that don't speak the language, we were able to get them to work. So it's not about that. The barriers are those two, and including housing issues. So if we can solve those barriers, we will be able to solve the workforce shortage.
Wonderful. Thank you, Matur. And last but not least, Bess.
Once again, to repeat the question, please.
Sure. What do you believe is the role of the city of Fargo in addressing our workforce challenges?
So Fargo is a growing city, and like every other growing city, we have workforce challenges. But what is really the role of the government, especially local city government? I don't think as a city we should be involved with private enterprise. It is the basic principle of supply and demand. Let's just let private industry figure it out. The city cannot force higher salaries. The city cannot force on benefits. I guess they could if they vote on it, but I think that would affect the private market. I think what we need to do as a city, though, is to lead by example. And Governor Burgum does something really great with the state of North Dakota. He forces on he focuses on the idea of empowering employees. And if we as a city show that our law enforcement officers, first responders, truck drivers are empowered and they want to work here, that would send a message. That would show that we are working toward the betterment of people.
Wonderful. Thank you. What is your view on tax incentives as a tool for growing and developing Fargo? Which incentives should be continued and which should be eliminated? Al, would you please start us off?
That all of them should be looked at, but they should be looked at on a cost-benefit analysis basis. I've been involved where we did a couple Renaissance projects where the benefactors of those projects were the homeowners with property tax relief and income tax relief. They got 5 years of relief, and that property will be standing for another 75 to 100 years paying taxes. So if you did the math on that one, you said it works. On TIF zones, they all should be analyzed on the basis of their cost-benefit analysis. And if they don't meet the formula, they probably shouldn't be passed. And that all too often has not been the guideline. But are they a valuable tool? Sure they are, but they should be analyzed to make sure, because if you don't pay the tax, if the TIF person or the Renaissance Zone person doesn't pay the tax, and the spending of the Fargo City budget doesn't go down, somebody else is picking up that tab. So you need to understand that if you do them wrong, it's just a shift of who's paying the tax.
Thank you. Will?
Yeah, well, in a similar vein, it's just a tool. Each tax incentive is a different type of tool, and it's about how we're using them and what programs we're empowering with those incentives. So, I would be vigilant that we wouldn't be wastefully giving out incentives, giving out handouts to big businesses that don't need them. Certainly, that's not something that we need to be doing. But if we're incentivizing things that are investments in our community, investments for a better workforce, investments for a more sustainable future, I think that those are beneficial investments. And certainly, there's nothing wrong with using incentives to get the job done in that regard.
Thank you. Jody?
So I think we are incentivizing, it's just way too much. It's out of hand. When 99% of the people or the projects that get brought in front of the city commission say they would build the project or do it anyways without an incentive, why are we doing it? Why are we giving your guys' millions of dollars to these businesses to build when they would do the project anyways? It does not make any sense. And the other issue I have is we're voting yes on these incentives, but nobody is following up. When you have legal documents, and we're running into a situation right now where you have a project that was given a tax incentive, and you're into a legal binding contract with that company and the requirements of that project, why is no one following up? Why is the city not following up with that? Whether it's the legal department, the mayor, any of the commissioners, and obviously anybody that voted yes for that incentive. It's like we're giving the incentive and then just walking away and not even following up on the project. So.
Ahmed?
I think tax incentives is actually a great tool, but the focus should be, rather than big companies, it should be smaller businesses. I think really focusing on home ownerships that do really get tax incentives for the first 2 years, but having it more increased, we actually builds value for families that want to stay here. I think that having tax incentives for smaller businesses, 2020 has created a really tough times for individuals. We have noticed and seen a lot of people start their own businesses, but then without incentives, were they able to start their businesses? Were they able to grow their businesses? So I think these strategies just really focusing on investing for the community to grow.
Thank you. Jennifer?
Sorry about that. I would agree. I think it is just one tool in the tool chest, and I think that there is evidence. I mean, look at simply the Renaissance Zone. According to the most recent white paper, right, it grew in $350 million value for revenue. So I think they are an important tool, and I think that there needs to be, and there is, evaluation on that case-by-case practice. And I would also like to see, in residents engaged in this in a variety of ways across all of Fargo, not just to a specific designated area. I think it's important, again, really to remind and ourselves what is the role of a city commission, and that's really to facilitate, to attract businesses and growth, and to facilitate the wants and needs of the community itself. We're here to represent the citizens, and that's what we need to do.
Thank you. We'll repeat the question halfway through the candidates. So what is your view of tax incentives as a tool for growing and developing Fargo? Which should be continued and which should be eliminated? Dave?
So I'm the chair of the Economic Development Incentive Committee, and so they're very powerful tools, and I believe you have to be very careful how you use them. In the past, some of them would run for 20 and 30 years. We've done a much better job of making sure that they end instead of going on forever. The one thing, the Renaissance Zone, like you referred to, the proof is the numbers, the amount of growth because of the Renaissance. It's a fantastic success. What I would like to see, and I'm sure most people aren't going to be happy with this, but we should have a neighborhood Renaissance Zone and copy the whole thing exactly. And we should do it in Fargo and have it be a pilot program. We have a couple neighborhoods that we already know are suffering, the Jefferson neighborhood, and that's what we should focus on. We have a proven successful program. Let's just copy that, and instead of it being in the downtown, be in these problem neighborhoods that need help. And so, to me, that's what I'd like us to see. I know that sounds a little hypocritical, growing government, but I think it would be a great thing for our town. Thank you.
Thank you, Dave. Anna?
Yeah, so I don't have all the answers. I don't know what the right answer is for taxes. But I'd like to find that answer, and I'd like to partner with the people in the city to find that answer, with the other city commissioners, with the mayor, because there's not one right answer. I'm not going to make everybody happy. We already know that to be true. So like I said, I'm not going to promise you things that I can't, but I'm going to find the solution to those problems.
Thank you, Anna. Philip?
I guess I'm not completely sold on the guidelines or the application to maybe get approved for a tax incentive. I think maybe you need to relook at it and, based on an individual's basis or a company's basis. And like I was talking about earlier, like the opportunity, why does it have to be some major business that gets the incentive? Why can't it be a small business? Why can't it be a business that's already established in the community that might be struggling? I think there's a lot of different factors that go into receiving a tax incentive, Again, it goes back to kind of the opportunity, give someone else a chance who may not follow the guidelines to receive a tax incentive, to bring it to the table and tell me why you deserve a tax incentive. Thank you.
Thank you. Denise?
Thank you. I completely support the incentives, and I think the proof is in the numbers. And, TIFs are city investments in infrastructure that are primarily focused on areas of blight. And to your point about Jefferson neighborhood, I live in the Jefferson neighborhood. It's one of the reasons I'm in this race, because we love where we live, and we deserve, everyone in our neighborhood should have the same opportunities that we've been able to have in our house. And I completely support the idea of residential incentives. But in the TIF program itself, we've gone from $9 million of net property value to $400 million in 20 years, since it was started in 1981. That's all revenue for the city. The Renaissance Zone now, actually with the addition of Block 9, is at 550 net value, property value, that probably would have been for land downtown that would not have been developed without the incentives. So I completely support the incentives. I do think we probably need some more accountability and oversight and monitoring, but I think it's very important for the city's growth.
Thank you, Denise. Matur?
I believe incentives are good when they are for the greater goods of our city. And what I mean by that is if we're going to give incentive to somebody that is going to hire other people, then it's good because these people are going to pay back those taxes and they're going to come back to our city. The incentive that I have watched that our city has been giving out here, I think they're giving out to big developers that don't need it. And I think incentive will be great if we can give it to people that will build workforce housings. If we can give incentive on like something that will benefit the transportation, because that transportation will take people to work and those people in return will pay more taxes, and like a childcare. And I think that's where the incentive is good, but not when we just give incentive to those who don't need it. It's not good.
Thank you, Matur. Vess?
I think we can all agree that incentives are not a bad thing and that we do need incentives. But I, like everybody else, feel that we should be very careful with who are we handing out money. I'll mention that if the money comes out of somewhere, if we give that money away, that money has to come out of somewhere. And I agree with that. We have to be very careful who we're throwing money, what direction. Incentives, in my opinion, should be to empower small businesses, to empower growth of small businesses, not to write blank checks basically to the Kilborn group of the world. So I feel that incentives are great. They're great for prosperity, but we should be very careful. There should be more accountability. And we have to be careful with money because we are $500 million in debt. And yeah, I'll close with that.
Thank you. Victoria?
I will definitely not be voting for any incentive for big companies if I'm elected city commission, because I believe they're overusing it and they're abusing it. And you know what? They're becoming greedy. I think Monday was a perfect example for tax increment that was given to a developer, and they're supposed to do the work, and they didn't. And you know what? They came up and said, "Can I get my money back?" Guess who's paying for that? Our taxes. So your question is, which tax will I eliminate? Tax increment, which is TIF. I will get rid of TIF. Bismarck did it in 2017, and guess what? You can get rid of it. We need to get rid of TIF. We do not need TIF. I will support incentive for small businesses and first home buyers, but not big companies. I will not.
Okay. As we move on to another topic, we have numerous questions coming in. And again, if you're interested in submitting a question, please do so using chamberquestions.com. However, the numerous questions around public safety. So this is probably no surprise to all of you. Questions that range from my neighbor's house was actively burglarized a year ago. It took police 20 minutes to get there. How do you plan on reducing crime to improve response time in South Fargo? To the fact around kind of in general, this is the question we'd like you all to consider. Can you please speak to public safety as it relates to the city of Fargo and highlight how you plan to ensure that as Fargo grows, it is a safe and secure place to live? We're going to start with Will.
Yeah, so I think that when you see increases in crime like we're seeing, it's because the material conditions of people are not being met. You know, people don't commit crimes just because they're bad people. They commit crimes because they're desperate, because they need assistance and they're not getting it. The reason someone would burglarize a home is because they're trying to get something to sell because they don't have enough money to get by. And hand in hand with that, you see a lot of people with addiction problems that they're robbing places because they need money to get a fix. So I think that if you're meeting people's material needs, keeping costs low for people, providing resources for them to get help for their substance abuse problems, that will go a long way towards making our neighborhoods and our city more safe.
Thank you, Will. Jody.
Yeah, I'm very concerned, honestly, with the mental health of our community in whole. There's just way too much suffering going on, and I think if we have more resources to help individuals out of that suffering is definitely a need, and especially our policemen that are out front and center that are protecting us every single day. I worry about this on a daily basis, to be honest with you, and I've actually reached out to the department because I want to help be involved in making sure their well-being is, on the top level. We need to make sure, the stuff that they're dealing with on a daily basis, I can't even imagine how they go home at night and, in front of their families and just kind of unwind and decompress from what they've witnessed or been involved with during the day. And also giving them resources to be able to help those that are suffering where they run into those particular situations is important, because I don't want the police officers to feel helpless, like they don't know what to do for this individual or how to help them. So I want to make sure the resources are there.
Ahmed.
I definitely agree with Will. I definitely agree with Will and Jody here. I think something that we can really focus on is resources, providing more resources to our police department so that they can respond to services that are called, and to look for a safe community. I think it really comes back from the investments of the community, the willingness for the community to work together. So I would really rally around more education tools and awareness to be created so that we're a more responsive community.
Thank you, Ahmed. Jennifer.
I cannot get that to turn on. Sorry, I should just leave it on. So my approach to everything is really an evidence-based decision approach. And so in this category, seeking to understand the why, what particular crimes, what particular problems, right, are we trying to solve, and why are these things happening? And clearly we need to empower the police to be able to do that and to do their jobs. And then it becomes accountability measures. And I believe that really it's that as an elected official, it's our duty then to be holding those accountability measures and benchmarks in place, to be establishing them and then holding our leaders accountable to them, and understanding the initiatives to set those goals. Are those goals being achieved? It's as simple as that.
Thank you, Jennifer. Dave.
So I believe this is the most important question and the most important issue in our city right now, more important than workforce or education and to me, I'm sure you already know, a couple of months ago, I brought it to everyone's attention, 25% of the police department has left since our new chief has arrived. And right now on the weekends, we do not have enough patrol officers, so the Cass County Sheriff has to come and assist us because we don't have enough officers on patrol. That's very bad. And so to me, that's the thing we have to address. First of all, we've got some issues. I believe we should make some serious changes in the police department. The other thing we talk about is mental health. At our lunch today, the sheriff was there, and so I got to talk to him afterwards. We should have a mental health person available with every police officer. We should have one on call at all times. A lot of these issues are mental health related issues. And what's happening is right now, the legislature proposed reducing the number of beds in Jamestown, so I got to go fast. So it's a domino effect. We need to have more beds so the people that have mental health issues can go to Jamestown, so we can have room in the jails for people that need to be in jail. That's not the case now. We don't have enough space. Thank you. I'm sorry for going over.
Thank you, Dave. Just reiterating the question for you. Highlight how you plan to ensure that as Fargo grows, it is a safe and secure place to live. Anna.
Well, I'd like to agree with Dave, which he probably doesn't hear very much, but I'd like to agree with what he said. I think it's so important. It's like the elephant in the room, right? What the police aren't doing or what the police chief isn't doing. He needs to be held accountable. It is his job to make his employees happy. We don't have the police because they're leaving. Why? We need to ask these questions. They're hard questions to ask. We want to be safe in our city. Everybody wants that. It's not something that we're like questioning or is it a money thing? Because it's not. We need to show them that we value our police. And if the chief of police isn't willing to do that, then maybe it's time we find somebody that is.
Thank you, Anna. Philip.
Yeah, safety is definitely top priority. I can tell you firsthand, I still consider Fargo safe, even though I was involved in an attempted robbery like 3 or 4 weeks ago right on Broadway. in the middle of the day, some lady came up behind me and cold clocked me. Left side of my face, nose, bloody lip, took an ambulance ride, all in an attempt to rob me because I was staying at the shelter and moved on. She thought I had a job or something, you know. Is it crimes like that? I would have to ask, you know, the chief or the sheriff. Are we just arresting repeat offenders for the same thing and these numbers are rising? I guess I can't fully answer the question, but I can still tell you this. I consider Fargo a very safe city from my experiences over the last, 2 months since I've been released from jail. And I guess I would have to, like I said, talk, is it burglaries? Is it break-ins? What's making Fargo unsafe? And then I'd have to address it that way.
Thank you, Philip. Denise?
Yeah, safety is a growing concern as we're a growing city, and I completely support the work of the police. I come from a law enforcement family. It starts with resources, but police across the country are dealing with staffing shortages in every town, in every city, in every community. And so I sat down with the chief of police. We talked about what the current issues are. I know that there are a number of initiatives in place to help kind of streamline the administrative function of the police force. They're looking long-term strategically at what they're doing about their culture. They recently had 33 new entrants into the police academy, and hopefully when they graduate, we will be in a better place as far as staffing. But I would support adding additional resources and staff to the police department. And lastly, this clearly is also related to mental illness and addiction issues. And I support the work of our engagement center around harm reduction and the work of Cass County Public Health in this space.
Thank you, Denise. Matur?
Thank you. I think safety is the priority for everyone. I want it to be safe in the hand of police. I want my family to be safe in our city. So when we were hiring our police chief, I was part of the committee that hired him. And my top priority was the safety of everyone in our city. And to that, I also worked with him last month to form what we call a police oversight committee that will work as a bridge between our communities and the police. And I think the people that are leaving the police, if you look now everywhere, everybody's pay is going up, but our police pays are not going up. They're not being compensated for the work that they do. They put their lives in line to protect us, to protect our families. I think we need to do more in terms of resources to our police and to also our teachers. You can make more money now at Amazon than being a police officer, and I think that's the issue.
Thank you, Matur. Ves?
Accountability. That's the magic bullet, in my opinion. Everybody's talking about mental health and addiction. Yes, those are very serious issues. But accountability, we need to stop coddling people that are committing crime. Crime has been rising, property crime, violent crime. And what is our response to that? We're going in a direction of trying to create a more gentle, if you will, police department. Let cops be cops, empower cops to do their job, stop criticizing cops for every little thing they do or they do not do. Those are split-second decisions. We need to empower our cops. We need to have a voice in City Hall that would bridge the gap between City Hall. Seems like we just keep listening to the loudest voices in the room about issues that are not even existing here. And we're trying to create this Fantasyland law enforcement department. Let's just wake up and let's see that crime is happening and we just need to keep criminals accountable for what they're doing. Thank you.
Thank you. Victoria?
Why will people commit a crime? That's a question we need to ask. People are going to commit a crime if they don't have a place to live, if they don't have access to the same opportunity. People are going to commit a crime. And if it is a mental health issue, then guess what? We have a great healthcare setting right here. Why don't we just create a support services, wraparound services to get those people? If it's the same repeat offenders, then we need to be holding them accountable. We can't just say, well, it's a mental health. But if it is a mental health, and then we need to make sure that they get the support they need. When it comes to the policing, people are leaving everywhere. This has nothing to do with just Fargo. Yes, I agree we need to provide support services for our police. We do, because you know what? Post-traumatic stress disorder is a serious, and secondary is a problem. So we need to support our police officers if they're facing, but we throw mental health and we put our police officer to deal and solve everything, homelessness, mental health, and they're not social workers. They need to do their job as a police officers.
Thank you, Victoria. Al?
And I think everybody pretty much said up here that they're in favor of our supporting our police department, making sure that they have the proper resources. But then those resources need to be put into place. Funding and budgeting is about priorities. And if that's everybody's priority, then we should be putting more money into that. But we should also have some guidelines as to how many officers should be on the street at a given night. Should it be 7? Should it be 13? How many resource officers should be in our schools? You know, don't we want our kids to be safe when they go into the classroom? Absolutely. So the mental health professionals is not a new topic, but it's an area where we don't have enough professionals in it today to even fill the spots. If we had one for every officer, we honestly couldn't hire the people. So what we need to do is be promoting that as a part of our solution to making sure we have enough mental health professionals, because a lot of these people, that's exactly what they need more than being in a jail cell. So we need to prioritize it, and we need to spend money on it, and then expect results from it.
Thank you, Al.
For the next question this evening, we will be going with a audience-submitted question. A number of candidates this afternoon have mentioned fixing special assessments in our community. How exactly do you propose to do so? Jody?
Well, I've already been working on this project, to be honest with you, and I've found a way. I was in one department's budget already where I was able to find $600,000 to $1 million in savings alone at one department. So that's something that that I'm working with that individual to bring to the commission. And number 2, we need to stop incentivizing all of these businesses because we are taking millions and millions of dollars away that could be used for infrastructure within our city. And I don't believe that the way we are handling assessments, it's way too unpredictable for people. Because an example would be you have someone retired that's paid their home off and all of a sudden they're slapped with a $20,000 assessment. What do? They're living on a fixed income. Do they pay for their medication or pay for the roof over their head? I think it's absolutely unnecessary. It needs to go away. And the other way is we have funds in our water, the utilities, where we transfer $5 million every single year into the general fund. And I think that's a way that we can do some infrastructure funding.
Thank you. Ahmed?
I think my answer actually comes from a lot of the door knocking that I have been doing. A lot of the families that I have met while I was in the community, talking to them and engaging with them was special assessment. A lot of individuals that I've connected with were really on fixed income as well, and really having something that appears to be a second mortgage, even after if they were finished with their mortgage, they still have to continuously paying for. I think special assessment is a burden to families, and I think there is a solution that we can really figure it out. And as I always said, by having collective community and collective leaders come together, there's always a solution that can come forth.
Thank you. Jennifer?
I would 100% agree with that. And I feel like a broken record, but I think that really is what it comes down to, is facilitating the process of collaboration and partnership. And as I mentioned before, so many of us, cities, schools, parks, we kind of operate in silos. And by that I mean, when we're building our budgets, we do them independent of one another, but yet they all land right on our property owners. And as most of you know, right, if you own a home and you're paying property taxes, now this is separate of specials, but a vast majority of that is going to your school district. Right? And so it matters, even if you don't have kiddos in school, to be paying attention and to be understanding what that money is being spent on. And I think that in terms of controlling special assessments, absolutely we need to offer some predictability to homeowners. It is really the only tax that isn't tied, right, to your income or to a decision to buy something. And so that unpredictability is something that we absolutely need to address. And there are a variety of ways to do so.
Thank you, Jen. Thank you. Dave?
So I'm in favor of the current setup. I believe there's always improvements that we can make. We've done that in the past where we had the rates much higher with the city and the individuals were lower, and so we've improved that. I believe there's always way, but this is the best way to pay for local infrastructure. For me, I like to keep it simple. When they redo the street in front of my house, I get a special assessment. I like that. I like keeping it simple. The other thing about special assessments is very important is if we eliminate special assessments, we're going to eliminate the small builders. What happens then is only large developers can afford to put in all these infrastructure at once. And so to me, that's, and I know that's a small reason, but special assessments, it's the most responsible way to pay for local infrastructure. And actually, many cities around the country are actually coming here to look at what we're doing because it's been such a well-run program. Thank you.
Thank you, Dave. Anna?
I can do it. I can do it.
There you go.
I can do it. I got it. I got it. Look at me. I got it. So I might say something that's not as popular as everybody else, but I don't think we can get away from special assessments. I think it's one of those things that we need to find the balance, right? When you buy a new house, you know what your specials are gonna be. You can see it before it happens. If you buy a new house in a neighborhood that doesn't have a road or streetlights or infrastructure, then where is that gonna come from? And on the other side of that, there's not enough accountability on those contractors who do get to go in and say, you know what, you need, your homeowner, you need all this new plumbing. Well, how do I know? He says that, and then you roll it over onto my mortgage. It is a burden. So we do need to find the balance. We need to find the happy medium. We need to come together to find out what we can do to make this better for our city.
Thank you. Philip?
On an individual basis, I've never dealt with special assessments or property taxes, so I'm just going to go off the top of my head here. I read somewhere that the dome sales tax is maybe coming up, maybe like I heard further down the line, maybe starting this kind of legendary fund, or if pricing and payment's a problem, how do we take the burden off the individual residents who, yeah, obviously need a road, need streetlights, but do they want candle-lit streetlights, or is the city forcing on them, you know? Do they like a gravel road? Do they need to be paved? I think that's things we need to look into. I mean, yeah, plumbing and water and power and internet, that's all very important to people even living in, you know, rural communities of Fargo, you know?
Denise?
Yeah, I agree with Dave and Anna. Special assessment program is actually working for us to build our infrastructure. Currently, property taxes none of our property taxes go to pay for infrastructure. And this issue is studied every 2 years, every campaign cycle, because it's, you know, it's a hot topic. I get it. But the reality is, you know, it's how we pay for infrastructure over time. And if you were to take it away, it would still have to come from somewhere. And you think about the equity of someone who's either paid off their specials or paid down their specials, and now we're going to stop specials and penalize the entire city of Fargo to pay for everyone's specials. It just doesn't work that way. They've been very effective. You know, to Dave's point, it used to be 50-50. Residents paid 50%, city paid 50%. Now it's more like 70-30. City pays 70%, residents pay 30%. And again, residents pay it over time. If your specials are $45,000 a year on a $400,000 home, you're paying $3,000 a year as part of your taxes.
Thank you, Denise. Matur?
I believe the spatial assessment. I just don't believe I know they're a burden to homeownership in Fargo. If you look at our home ownership ratio, we have the lowest for our city side in the country. There are other ways that other cities does the road construction, and it's not through spatial assessment. The spatial assessment is a burden. I have $46,000 on the spatial assessment, and I feel like I'm paying a second mortgage. It is the reason why a lot of people in our city don't own home, because they are burdened. You can just look at a home price and then not even thinking that you will need to have $500 aside every month to just cover spatial assessment. I think it's burden, and if there's a way to do it, we'll find that solution. There are other ways to do it around the world. And I believe to those who are living on a fixed income, like our senior, they shouldn't be forced to pay spatial assessment. Their SSI are not going up. They just fix.
Thank you. Vess?
So in Fargo, we have two types of special assessments for already existing homes and for new developments. So for new developments, technically is an incentive. And historically, we have seen there are neighborhoods that are got away with building without taking those incentives and building and not passing special assessments onto the buyers of the lots or the new housing. The second type of special assessment we have is infrastructure for existing homes, the roads and the bridges in front of our houses and whatnot. So we already have a percentage of our sales tax that is supposed to go to infrastructure. And the money that comes from that percentage actually will be almost sufficient, I believe up to $1 million, to cover what needs to be covered. But that money is divided and split into the water sewer and the sewer plants, and those entities are already self-sufficient. But what the city does with that money, it keeps it there for X period of time and moves it back to the general fund. And that's just unacceptable. We can just cover it with that portion of the sales tax. Thank you.
Thank you, Ves. Victoria?
Okay, so we all agree that special assessment is creating a burden, and you can go on my website and you can see exactly how I talk about special assessment. One of the ways we can help actually alleviate some of that burden is, 50% of a property tax goes to a school, okay? So one thing we can do is we can do tax reform, property tax reform, going through the state and having that burden lifted up by the state paying our schools. Our schools should be funded through the state. That will lift some of those burden off of those high property tax. So that's one way we can do that. Secondly, stop giving a massive tax break to big businesses that really don't need it. We can use some of those money towards what? Infrastructure. We don't need to be giving them those massive tax break. They need to pay their share, and we can use some of that money to help lift some of those burden. So that would be another ways we can decrease tax property, because right now, the biggest tax we're paying is property tax, and it goes to our school.
Thank you. Al?
Well, probably the least favorite tax of everybody is the property tax. But part of that is the special assessments, and there's only several ways you can control those costs. One of them is you can change the specs as to what you expect those streets to look like as you go into these neighborhoods. Do they need to be set like an interstate or not? Or do they need to be wider or narrower? And then you need to make sure, years ago I came here as a home builder and I said, you can't be taking part of this money that you have excess revenue when you collect all the payments and funneling it into the general fund. You need to push this back into the cost of special assessments. Or the other option is tell the developer he's not hooking up the city of Fargo unless he pays for everything. And they did find out up in North Fargo that the lots doubled in price, but so it really was no cheaper for the homeowner when they got all done with the situation. So we need to control costs. Special assessments are a tool, but they're also not the debt of the city. They're the debt of the homeowner. And the homeowner needs to know that.
Thank you. Will?
Yeah, so the Tischer Buys white papers showed that the special assessments that we use allow our city to punch above its weight in terms of financial ability. The problem is that it hits our most vulnerable members of our community the hardest, people on fixed incomes. And so the problem isn't the specials on a brand new house in a brand new neighborhood. It's the upkeep and the repair costs that are hitting people that are on fixed incomes. So my bold idea for addressing this is a publicly owned city bank that can offer low interest rates, and that could allow for small developers to stay competitive in our market. The city had $233 million in their government balance in 2020. You could take that and deposit it into a publicly owned bank and then loan that back out. And instead of going through a big Wall Street bank, something like a Vanguard, we'll use Vanguard because their numbers were the best. If you didn't go through there, you went through a publicly owned bank instead, you could save about $7 million because these big Wall Street banks charge us a premium for using our own community's money.
Okay, we're going to shift gears pretty dramatically now. So we're going to mix it up a little bit. Get ready. We're going to do a little bit of an exercise called rapid fire. So these are going to be very quick questions, and you're going to have 1 or 2 word answers. Do we hear that? 1 or 2 word answers. So you all are very familiar with the order that we've been following. So we won't call on your name, but rather just rapid fire the question down. This should be quite fun, actually. Ready? All right, so Ahmed, get ready. We're starting with you. Here's the first rapid fire question. On a scale of A to F, what grade would you give our regional brand?
8.
A to F.
Oh,
A to F.
Okay.
Grading. What would you give our regional brand?
A B minus.
B minus, okay.
C.
B.
I'm gonna say an A minus because I really like us here.
C.
C.
B.
Okay, can I ask a question? What kind of brand? Your brand or the city brand?
The region's brand, so the city's brand.
I like blue. A.
I agree with Victoria. I think it's a good brand, A.
I'll go A minus, room for improvement.
B plus, we can always be better.
Okay, we will start with Jennifer. Are you ready?
I think so.
Convention Center, Performing Arts Center, one, both, neither.
Convention Center.
Performing Arts Center.
Both.
Both.
Both overtime.
Both.
Performance Arts Center.
How much is it gonna cost us?
It's free.
Free, I'll do both.
It's never free, right?
No, it's never.
She asked the best question of all. Both if the numbers work.
Yeah, both, but state of the art.
Both.
Both.
Okay. All right, Dave, here we go. What is our community's greatest asset? One asset.
Our people.
People.
The diversity.
Yeah, the people, that's what I was going to say. Thanks, Dave.
Our specialness.
Inclusion.
I'll go with the people again. All the people of Fargo.
We're stubborn.
This is all about the people.
I think we have a great public education system.
Work ethic.
School teachers.
People.
All right, Anna, we'll have you start us off. What are the top 2 issues facing our community?
2 now.
Wow, 2 issues.
Yep.
I think the first issue is workforce issue, where it's the common thread, people and jobs and livable wages. I think affordable housing is also a big issue.
Thank you. Philip?
Say affordable housing and jobs.
Great.
Childcare and safety.
Spatial assessment and workforce.
Public safety and the burden of special assessments.
Massive tax. Oh, do I need 2? Oh,
2.
Massive tax, and I will say, childcare.
I'm going to go with property taxes and public safety.
Workforce and all that encompasses and sustainability.
Financial stability and our mental health.
For me, I would say 3 because they are tied together. Workforce, child care development, child care accessibility, I should say, and housing.
Government efficiencies and safety.
Public safety and growth.
All right. Philip kicks us off this time. What are the 2 characteristics that you bring as a successful city commissioner?
Energy inequality.
Professionalism and preparedness.
Civility and maturity.
Experience in law enforcement and diversity.
Determined and not a quitter.
Problem solver and common sense.
Young and bold.
Strength and fiscally responsible.
Connected and responsible.
Integrity and accountability.
Optimism and passion.
Honesty and integrity.
Thank you. Denise, what's your favorite thing to do in Fargo?
Eat.
She kept it to one word. Okay.
Mature?
Took us serious.
Just walking downtown.
Bonus points for that answer. Thank you.
Running outside.
Meeting new people.
Being outside.
Time with friends.
Being outside in nature.
Bike riding with my 3 kids.
Any outdoor activity, especially with neighbors.
Learning.
The arts and culture and music of our city.
Let's go Bison.
Yeah.
All right. All right. Matur, we're up to you, right? As a city commissioner, what is one personal priority and one city priority you'd like to accomplish?
And spatial assessment.
Personal and professional, huh? Okay.
Personal priority, I want to make sure that the cops have voice and are represented in City Hall. Professional priority, ending special assessments.
Priority will be special assessment. Second will be term limits.
Bringing Fargo into the future.
Personally, I'd like to build a sustainable renewable energy grid. And professionally, I think we need to look at our charter. It hasn't been examined since it was written in 50 years ago.
Ending all community suffering and being financially responsible.
Personally, I want to see an inclusive city that loves each other, grows with each other. Second, I would focus on workforce development and childcare accessibility.
Personally, I would say to earn the opportunity to continue to serve the public and government efficiency.
I would say the main thing is the Performing Arts Center, getting that completed, because that would draw a lot of people to our city, that would help workforce and a lot of other things. And I think that's one of the big pieces that's missing from our town. Thank you.
I believe that representation matters, and I believe that increasing the city's engagement with the diverse community in Fargo is a priority.
Personal priority to be Fargo's next city commissioner.
Personally, it would be to support and respect our city employees who help this city run every day and do it very well. Professionally, it would be to address the child care crisis that we're in.
Wonderful. Our last rapid fire question of the evening, we'll start with Vess. When you consider the city's current efforts on diversity, equity, and inclusion, would you say that we need to be doing more, doing less, or we're on the right track?
There is always room for improvement, but one thing I need to mention, how many new Americans do you see on this stage right now? So that's great. We're very inclusive, and I love that about Fargo.
I think we can always do more. We need to see, because we don't see the representation. We're growing. You don't see people who represent me sitting up here making decisions.
It's very important that we have equal treatment for all Fargoans.
We can always be doing more, but I think we're on the right track.
I will not prop up one group or lower one group for a desired outcome, and I believe in equality for all.
Community that's inclusive, really respectful to each other. I would say for 150 years, Fargo only had 4 women that were on the commission. But this year you have new Americans, you have plenty of women on here representing the city. I think it's the leadership that we need that is for a growing city.
On the right track.
I think we can always do more, but I think we're a very welcoming area, and I think we're very fortunate to have all the universities. That has been, I think that's when you talk about the secret of our success. To me, it's our healthcare, but also our education. Those are our two advantages that when we compete against people around the country, those are our main advantages. Thank you.
We can always be doing more, always.
Community camaraderie.
We can always be doing more, but I think the hiring of Dr. Terry Hogan was a good start for the city itself, and I support that decision, and I think it's a leadership position for the city to have done that.
I serve as the Director of Equity and Inclusion for Morehead Area Public School. For the city of Fargo, I think we need to do a lot more. And the prime example was that today forum, I and Ahmed were not invited to participate. If that don't ring the bell to you, it does to me. And I think we need to do more, not just on the ground, but also at the city leadership level.
Thank you, Matur. All right, time for closing comments. So you have 1 minute to give us your closing comments, which is not a lot of time, so be brief and be memorable. So Victoria, you will kick us off.
Thank you to the chambers and to the DCP. My name is Victoria Johnson, and thanks to everybody who's here. Advocating and serving the community is my passion. If you elect me as your next city commission, I will advocate on your behalf and the behalf of your family with integrity and honesty. I am here asking for your vote on June 14th. You can go onto my website, victoria4fargo.com, and read about my platform and what I stand for. This is who I am. Advocating has always been me since I was little, and I will serve you with integrity and honesty if you chose me as your next city commission. Thank you for having us.
Thank you, Victoria. Al.
I have the time, the energy, and the desire to be an active city commissioner. I also believe that I have the proven leadership skills with the background that I've had. I think important thing is to have a steady hand. You can disagree without being disagreeable, and I think that's always important in politics. I think I have the skill of problem solving, which is important. When you look, many people can identify problems, and not many people find the solutions, and that's really the key to this whole process. And what I will do is make sure that I'm a good steward of your tax dollars. I will never forget who I work for, and I will never forget whose money I'm spending. So I ask for your support on June 14th.
Thank you. Will.
Yeah, thank you again to the Chamber for hosting this forum. Will Thompson, he, him, and I am the youngest candidate in the race. I'm offering the boldest ideas, and that's what I bring to the table. A youthful, new, bold perspective. So if you're not satisfied with the status quo, I'm the one that's bringing the strongest change to the status quo. You can follow me at Will for Fargo. That's FOR, not the number, on Twitter or Facebook, or you can go to willthompsonfargo.com for more information. And I thank you all for being here, and I ask for your vote this June 14th.
Thank you, Will. Jody.
I am a fiscally conservative woman, and at the end of the day, if it doesn't make business sense, I'm not going to do it. And that's one of my strong points, and I will continue down that track and rifle through every department in the city to find ways to save money, and not necessarily eliminating jobs, but there's ways that I've found that things are being outsourced that would actually bring jobs in-house, and that's important to me. Our city staff is very important, hardworking people, and I just want to make sure they're happy and healthy, as well as our police department. And I just want us to get back to our morals and ethics and values in this community. And let's just get back to, helping one another. That's what life's about, helping our neighbor, putting out a hand when somebody needs it most. That's why I'm here. I'm here to serve this community. Thank you.
Thank you, Jody. Ahmed.
Well, Will said he's the youngest. Now I feel old. Thank you again, Chambers, DCP, for hosting this event. Again, my name is Ahmed Chill, and when I first moved to Fargo, I never thought that I would be sitting here running for office. And really what passion and what drove me to it, my service to community. I worked in the last 4 years at a large nonprofit, and really seeing the focus in the community and the challenges that we all have. One thing I have learned is that collectively, there's always a solution that we can come up with, whether it's transportation or childcare, accessibility, or workforce. We have the pandemic that hurt a lot of families. So I think what we need currently is city government, city officials that really are in touch with the community to remove barriers that currently exist by highlighting the resources that are in the community, by having tax incentives for families and for business owners, and reducing taxes overall. Thank you.
Thank you, Ahmed. Jennifer.
Thank you. So I am dedicated to the citizens of Fargo. I will work hard for you. I'm committed to integrity, accountability, and results. I am a passionate person, and I will stand strong. I will be your advocate. I will honor the oath of office. You can follow me on Jennifer Benson for Fargo.com.
Thank you, Jennifer. Dave?
So I'm Dave Pepcorn. I'm running for City Commission. I'd appreciate your vote on June 14th. I've been a commissioner for 12 years. I've been a part of a really good team. I would put our city's track record on pretty much everything up against any city anywhere in this country. The next 6 years, we are going to be a boomtown because of the diversion. We're going to have so much new people coming in, new jobs. It's going to be a great time, and we have to take advantage of that to keep our city growing. And so I love this. I love the job. I love this town. It's a great thing, and I work very hard. I'm very passionate. Like I said, sometimes people don't enjoy my passion, but I love it, and I would appreciate your vote. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dave. Anna?
Thank you. Thank you guys for all coming. I really appreciate being here. One of the things I was thinking about was, representation matters. But what that really means is there's never been anybody on the commission that looks like me. An openly gay, lesbian woman, Native American, from North Dakota, born and raised. And so I want to say again, representation matters. And thank you so much.
Thank you, Anna. Philip?
Affordable housing needs to be addressed severely. I'm going to explain a situation that just happened to me. I've said it a few times, but I've been homeless for 66 days now, I think. Recently, last week, I was approved through Goldmark. I get this big congratulations. It says big header, congratulations, you've been approved for 6 months. Goldmark, whatever, rental agency. I go view a Goldmark apartment. I agree to sign the lease. On the way back to this office, I'm stopped in the parking lot and my acceptance letter was revoked. My application fee was not reimbursed. Just a bunch of things need to happen there. I haven't totally figured out how or what I'm going to do about it, but definitely application fees got to go out the window. If you want me to stay in your apartment, there's all these vacant apartments. Why charge me $40 when I'm homeless and on SNAP benefits and all this? Something has to change there.
Thank you, Philip. Denise?
Well, I love Fargo. As I said, when I moved here 20 years ago, I was welcomed by both work and the community. I want to be part of telling Fargo's incredible story, and I believe my background in communications and public relations would help with that. I also believe that my career working in highly regulated and complex industries, including healthcare and water development, together with a track record of community service, including serving currently on the Fargo Arts and Culture Commission as board chair of the United Way and served on the executive committee of the EDC and also currently serve on the North Dakota Safety Council. Those things, and with my experience and together with my high level of integrity, I think I would bring to the job would make me highly qualified. Having said that, my number one goal is to earn your vote as you learn more about me, and you can learn more about me at kolpakforfargo.com.
Thank you, Denise. Matur?
Thank you, the chambers and the DCP and everyone for coming here. And I came 8 winters ago and I fell in love with Fargo. Now I have my kid living here and with me and my whole family. I just brought my mother over from Africa. She's also staying with us. To that, I want to make Fargo the best place you can ever be. Because to me, living in a refugee camp, now I have a home. And I want that home to be safe. I know how hard it is to raise a family. My platform is for working families and for homeowners. I will fight to end special assessment. I'll fight to keep the cost of living affordable, and I'll fight for better wages for our workers. I will be a voice for the people who need change. And if you agree that we need change, I am your guy. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Matur. Ves?
Thank you to the chambers and to the DCP. And my name is Ves Marinoff, and I'm asking for your vote for Fargo City Commissioner for June 14th. I've been in public service the majority of my adult life, and I believe it's a higher calling. It is the most important thing in my life. I feel that I can bring to the table the spirit of public service. And I also feel that I can bring to the table this law enforcement experience to bridge the gap between City Hall, between the needs of our community, and between our police department. I feel that I can not only advocate for the people of Fargo, but also for our first responders. I feel that we need their voices heard, and I believe in empowerment. I feel that we should lead by example. We should empower our city employees, and I'll be humbled to get your vote for City Commissioner for June 14th. Thank you.
Thank you, Vess. Well, thank you again to all of you for joining us this evening, and thank you to the candidates for their participation in tonight's forum. We know that 1 minute is a short time frame to formulate a response, so we will be following up this evening's discussion by sending candidates the questions from tonight's event, along with some pre-written and audience questions that we were not able to cover. Those then will be able to be found on the Chamber's website at fmwfchamber.com.
Additionally, please visit votefmwf.org, a nonpartisan election resource designed to empower local community members with current information on local candidates. Again, thank you and have a great evening.